everyone, comment allez-vous? Welcome to the latest edition of the LPTV Disney Morning Show, the weekly show that actually goes every weekday in which we catch you up on what's going on in the world of Disney. Sorry. I
He got too
get
distracted by the French that he couldn't.
just as I'm starting, I get a message from my son, so threw me off a little bit. All right, all is good. So let's see. My name is Doobie Mosley. Oh, we got to put these back. We took them off yesterday for some reason. It's time to put them back. My name is Doobie Mosley. I'm the co-founder of Laughing Place. Over there to my right is my managing editor, Kyle Burbank. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Doobie. How about you?
I'm okay. I'm not sure why I said my managing editor. I'm not the owner of the company. Co-owner of the company. We're going to catch you up what's going on in the world of Disney. It's been a little bit of a Disney morning, some fun stuff to talk about, but we're going to get started with something that Kyle is going to be expert on today, and that is the stock price. All right, Kai, I know you were, by the way, Disney, about time you updated this picture. All right, it's been a few months, time to move on. I know you were paying attention to the business world this morning because Disney had an investors conference. So I'm going to make it tough on you and say within 10 cents, what is the current stock price?
82.
82. It is whoa. Right?
I win both showcases.
You do. Okay, so
I didn't think it was going to be exactly on, to be fair. I didn't just look at it, but
that is the good news. The bad news, it's 82. It is down 3.5% today. Presumably related to the news we got this morning, Kyle?
Yeah, you would think that as investors, you understand the value in investing, but that's not always the case, because when Disney says, hey, we're going to spend a bunch more money on this thing to grow this business and invest in this business, they're like, no, you're not. I'm selling. So it's down 3% because Disney announced they're going to invest more in the Disney parks. I don't understand.
What specifically did they announce? How much? What time frame?
So they're going to roughly double their investment in the parks in the next 10 years. So over the next 10 years, they plan to spend $60 billion in the parks division. So
that is banned on this show. No billion. No.
Oh, I love this hyper coaster that they built, by the way, where you see the 2020 and 2021. Woo!
What happened there?
I don't know.
What is this graph? What is this graph showing us?
This is just showing how their parks earnings, operating income has grown, and sort of how they've invested along the way. So the projects that they've done, and how the more you invest in these new projects, the more money you end up making, because people come to see the things, and they spend money on the things you spent money on, and you get more money.
And they are promising, they are not promising, but they have stated they will spend $60 billion over the next 10 years.
That's the plan. I mean, they're not tied to that, and it's approximately 60 billion. But yeah, they have a few interesting things. First of all, they noted that they have approximately 1,000 acres of land they can currently develop on. Presumably that's partially they're also including like cruise ship ports and stuff like that, but still like 1,000 acres of stuff that they can do. They also state that for every one park guest, there are currently 10 people who have an affinity for Disney but are not currently visiting the parks, that don't visit the parks, basically. So they're saying that they not only have a lot of room to expand, but also have a lot more people that they can reach with that. So kind of interesting.
And that $60 billion figure would be a doubling over what they spent over the past 10 years. So, which was not exactly a stagnant 10 years. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So I know you probably were watching this with Ben this morning to some extent.
There was no watching. It was reading an SEC document.
But Ben was around, and then Twitter. What's kind of been the feeling out there about this? Not investors. Not investors.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot. I mean, obviously, it's good news. We know some of the projects, we think, because they announced stuff at Destination D23. So you would hope that some of the things they were talking about, Big Thunder, would now be more of a green light once they figure out what they want to do. But I think I saw somebody responded to us and they're like, oh yeah, but look what they're including in parks. And it was Cotino. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're not spending $60 billion on just that though. But yes, that is part of the parks department. Like it's also products. So I guess they can invest more in products too, technically. But no, if you look at their slide deck, they're really talking about parks as in capital P parks. So I think, yeah, this is kind of what they're doing. Leverage talent. So, WDI will have probably, hopefully, an expansion, you would think. Expanded footprint means increasing the size of the current parks, maybe additional resorts. They don't say anything about that. I'm not going to speculate that, but that would be interesting. Reach new fans, which is kind of like the 1 to 10 sort of thing I'm talking about. Advanced commercial is kind of a weird
with the magic band on display.
A weird phrasing, but yeah, and accelerate storytelling, which is that's also a weird phrase. Like improve or expand, but accelerate storytelling. I don't know if they mean having more synergy as far as like when a thing hits theaters, then there's already an attraction for it. I mean, they're kind of doing that with something like we've seen most recently in Galaxy's Edge, before that in Avengers Campus. But on a larger scale, that would be pretty interesting. Although it's also fraught because you don't want to, if they did that in the past, then we would have the Atlantis subs. So
exactly. But that's the only thing I could think that they meant too with accelerating storytelling. I'm just looking at the actual SEC filing, which has we have the article on our site. Obviously, we link to the actual filing with the SEC, which has even more images and graphs and down in the dirt numbers and stuff for those of you who are into that kind of thing. So we invite you to go check that out.
My favorite part is there's a couple of bar graphs where they just have like a couple slashes there for fiscal years 20 and 21. It's like, oh, look, it just keeps going up. I don't know what you're talking about. Those 2 years don't exist.
I like this one here because this is specifically on the Disney Cruise Line and how new ships and product upgrades drive income, which do what you got to do to the
weird
cruise
concept,
lines.
Huh?
Future return on. Oh man, yeah, this is some fascinating stuff in this SEC filing. Definitely go check it all out.
It's one of the more accessible SEC filings you'll find. I did like that Duffy one too. $500 million spent on Duffy and Friends merchandise.
$500 million in total sales. Their highest selling franchise.
Yeah, in Asia, in the Asian park specifically. But
crazy, and then more on the attendance. I guess you could be showing this. The attendance rebound after the great incident. Good stuff happening at Disneyland Paris. Yeah, this is really
interesting. Cruise line was at 98% capacity,
which is insane.
Yeah,
I realize they only have 5 ships, but that is insane. Yeah, there's cruise line, 98% capacity, which is twice, 2 times the yield versus the industry, and a double-digit return on investment, which is bigger than a savings account these days.
Yes.
So Disney, keep investing. That $60 billion will be, $80 billion in return, no doubt. All right, and as we mentioned, the market's response to this was sell, and Disney is down 3.5% this morning. And did we get kind of the first announcement of this major investment right after?
Yes, we will back up to weather, but yeah. So, I don't know if this is the first. I think the Destination D23 stuff would be the first. This is at Disneyland Paris, at Disney Village. Part of they're doing a big. If you've ever been there, it's still very much stuck in the 90s. So they're doing a big overhaul there, and this McDonald's is part of it. This green, earthy-looking McDonald's.
Is this the first McDonald's announced 2.5 years before it's scheduled to open? This doesn't come until 2026.
I guess.
That's insane.
I've never actually eaten at the McDonald's in Disney Village, but I've been in there, and it's pretty nice, actually. It's already nice, so they're going to make it a nice.
Thank you for the reminder.
Hi there and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the LP Disney Weather Report. All I want to do when I wake up in the morning is see your eyes. Rosanna, Rosanna, I never thought that a girl like you could ever care for me. Rosanna, all I want to do in the middle of the evening is hold you tight. Rosanna, Rosanna, I didn't know you were looking for more than I could ever be. Not quite a year since you went away. Rosanna, yeah, now she's gone, and I have to say, meet you all the way. Meet you all the way. Rosanna, yeah. Let's get to the weather. Anaheim is looking like a near-perfect Kyle pick of the day with a high of 76 today and low of 66 tonight. Meanwhile, Doobie will surely prefer Walt Disney World where their 86-degree high will feel like 90. Overcast skies will also keep the UV index relatively low. Castaway Cay is stormy today with showers expected to last into the afternoon. Tonight will be partly cloudy and still in the mid-80s. Disneyland Paris is mostly cloudy this evening with temperatures in the 60s. Tokyo will reach a high of 88 by lunch tomorrow, followed by isolated to scattered storms that will be possible through the rest of the day and night. Shanghai will see similar conditions as they'll get to 89 tomorrow before storms arrive. However, these storms will ease to showers in the evening before tapering off altogether for the last couple hours of the day. Finally, Hong Kong will be mostly sunny tomorrow and see a high of 87. That's it for another Disney weather update. But stay tuned for the rest of this show and the other 2 shows here on 3 Show Tuesday. Did I say show enough? Show. Bye for now.
Rosanna, Dana.
I always, anytime I hear that song, I just imagine that there has to have been a church that did like a Palm Sunday thing and changed it to Hosanna. The only thing that comes to mind.
I didn't like that. That song is very, very old. Usually Ethan pushes a little bit further. That's got to be like 81 or something.
I'm going to look it up now.
Look it up. I'm predicting 81 for Rosanna. Who is it? Is it Toto?
1982, and yes, that's Toto.
Okay. Not too bad. All right. Moving on. So Disney very proud to announce that Elemental on Disney Plus is a hit in that it is the most viewed movie premiere of 2023 on Disney Plus. To which I would ask, how many have there been? But
well, it ousted that scrub Little Mermaid. It only did 22 point something, and this is 26 point, I think. So yeah, the way they figure out views is to take the total view minutes or hours and divide by the runtime.
Me up about these kinds of announcements is their only competition is themselves. If they said the most viewed streaming premiere, but all they mean is they're kicking out another Disney show. But now somewhere the Little Mermaid's going, what about me? It's also among its top 10 movie premieres of all time. Again, this service goes back to 2019. But why am I being a seagull? Congratulations to Elemental, the movie that when it launched seemed like it was a certain flop, and then somehow managed to have legs and become very respectable, critically very successful, and now doing well on Disney Plus. So yay to Elemental for.
And they got me to watch it. I
What'd you
watched
think?
it this weekend. I enjoyed it. It was sad a little bit. I wanted to cry almost.
Art, maybe you would have. Well, what would you give it on, and whatever scale you want to give?
I don't know. I'm not good at those things. I guess a B+.
That's a good scale. That's one that people can relate to. We all went to school. All right. Yesterday, Avengers Campus opened its new Avengers Vault, which is a shop. And Mike Celestino was there. We talked about it yesterday on Parks Talk Live, but here's some pictures from inside the Avengers Vault, which is located where in the past we assumed that the entrance to the major new attraction, the e-ticket they will eventually build, will be, but apparently it is not. Although now we're thinking maybe that'll be the exit of the attraction.
Yeah, because originally we thought it was going to be a Quinjet adventure, so it makes sense that you'd be like going in under the Quinjet. But nope, now it's a thing. I did hear Jeremiah say that it reminded him of the store in Paris, and I haven't looked too closely at it, but I'd have to agree from what I've seen.
Got a good video of it. There it is. Video, you can see what the entrance is like. Always fun watching videos taken on opening day because you can play Spot the Vlogger. But Avengers Vault at California Adventure, and the old Avengers place has closed over the Millionaire Building, and if I'm not mistaken, all guests were asked to leave the location upon closing.
Yeah, gotta get out. We're evacuating this closed store.
You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. There you go. Inside Avengers Vault. Go check it out. Probably less crowded today. Let's see. Next up, Ahsoka. So, Kyle, are you caught up on Ahsoka?
Yes.
What did you
Until
think
tonight.
of the last episode? What did you think of last week's snoozer?
It wasn't a snoozer. It was fine. I do think it's funny. I'm noticing a trope with Disney Plus shows. This is like there was at least a couple of Marvels, and now this where they do this device where you kind of travel through different segments of their life via one means or another. And so it was kind of funny to see that. The one that stands out the most is WandaVision, where she and Agatha walk through the different stages of her life. But I liked Ariana Greenblatt. I could tell in the photo, I was like, is she the same age as she was when she played young Gamora? Like, how is this possible? But I'm like, okay, seeing her act, I'm like, okay, you're definitely a teenager now. That makes more sense.
It makes sense, yes, as opposed to not aging. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the past 2 episodes, but Anakin is now in Ahsoka, and Disney Plus has released a Anakin and Ahsoka reunion video. It's not that long, so we're going to watch it.
It was amazing to have Ahsoka and Anakin back together again.
You know, as I was figuring out the story for Ahsoka, I just really thought, well, there's an opportunity I could bring Anakin and Ahsoka together. It's just awesome.
I didn't expect to see you so soon.
Anakin.
When I got the phone call to talk about being a part of the Ahsoka project, I was thrilled. One is never too old to learn, Snips.
I met Hayden when I was 16, and we were in acting school together over a summer. And to have that kind of history with him, it really was like seeing my old friend.
It's nice if it's like a genuine sort of recollection of like, oh, I've heard that before.
Oh, I've heard that before.
It just was really, really powerful for Ahsoka to see her guard come down.
You lack conviction.
You know her as a stoic, super powerful, on top of it, warrior. And all of a sudden, she's Padawan again.
I'm here to finish your training. Putting on the Anakin costume, getting to wear those Jedi robes, it kind of blows your mind every time. I just feel very grateful. There's hope for you yet.
Did you watch the thing that they released a week or 2 ago? That was like it's basically like a featurette, but about Ahsoka.
I don't think so.
And they talked about her creation, and Fellini was there with George Lucas, and George was like, "Oh, what if we should have a Padawan for Anakin?" And Dave Filoni is like, "Oh, Anakin doesn't have a Padawan." George just goes, "Anakin has a Padawan." It's just like, yeah, okay. I guess George is right. What am I gonna do?
Ahsoka tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Kyle time. Very excited to see it. I don't know. I have to check with my wife. Am I allowed to watch it? Maybe we'll do a group watch.
Oh, if that's a great idea. That's a great feature that they have that you could totally still use and was never awful. No, apparently that doesn't exist anymore, which is fine because it sucked. Like it didn't work you couldn't say anything. You could just tap emojis, and even like when it worked, it kind of worked, but it was never great. So I hope that they bring it back as something better.
Because I presume the main thing was to keep it in sync. If someone hits pause, everyone hits pause.
Fail at that.
And now with the ad tier, it seems perfect because if one person has the commercials, it'll pause for everybody when the commercial come and resume for everybody. I mean, need it now more than ever, but apparently it's done.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be back.
But speaking of 6 p.m. premieres, did we already do that yesterday?
Yep. We did, but do it again. That's okay. You brought it up.
Okay, yeah. Loki's going to be at 6 p.m. Starting Thursday, October 5th. Just as a reminder. I couldn't remember what we talked about it yesterday.
This is a thing now, we hope. Everything is now 6 p.m. and group watch. All right. The Creator, the next big theatrical movie from Disney via, is this Fox? It's got to be Fox, right?
Sorry, I'm looking at some.
Is the creator Fox?
I think so. But by that you mean 20th Century Studios, because Fox is different.
20th Century Studios, the creator. Our guy Mike Celestino got to see it. He'll have a full review coming when he's allowed to, but now he's allowed to speak socially about it. So he said, the creator, funny emoji, starring John David Washington and directed by Gareth Edwards, is a gorgeous-looking sci-fi war film that tackles some tried-and-true genre tropes in a way that feels fresh and atmospheric. The seamless visual effects by ILM are worth the price of admission alone. So Mike Celestino gives a hearty go watch it to the creator. I am looking forward to this film. Really cool AI-related film. Could not be more timely. Let's see what Kyle is saying.
I don't know if you can open that article, but apparently in an article from the New York Times, it says that Disney does not plan to build parks in new countries or cities. So when we're talking about footprint, they are talking about existing properties. So just a little clarification on something we talked about earlier. It's a paywall article, so we can't pull exactly where it says what it says or that. But let me just state that now. We kind of figured that'd be the case, but a boy can dream.
See, whenever I hear when they give that 1 to 10, because a lot of those 10 people have to be 10 people have to be far away. Whether 1 out of every 10 or whether for everyone there's 10. So for everyone there's 10. So those 10 people have to be a good distance away from each other. It makes I don't need that in my head. It makes you think. I understand they're not going to build parks elsewhere, but stuff like Disney Quest back in the day, Club Disney, that would have come under DPEP too. And so it makes me wonder, are they at all thinking about doing any sort of regional entertainment again? That wouldn't rise to the level of theme park, but that could still target some of those 10 people. So anyway, it's nothing to be built in Kansas City. You're out of luck. Sorry about that, Gio. But you've got the Chiefs.
Kansas, I think, is what the other K is for.
That's what I presume. Which is a place, right?
Yes.
It's not just Missouri. Does the city span the two?
There's actually like a state line road, and one side's.
Is it like a border crossing? You have to stop and have your fruit inspected and all that?
No, because it's the United States. There's not even an agricultural inspection like there is in California. But no, nothing's different except for the taxes. That's pretty much what it
that happens in Animal Kingdom.
The Missouri side definitely has the majority of stuff, but then the Kansas side has more. I'd say the Missouri side has more of the metropolis, like the bigger city itself, but then the Kansas side has bigger suburbs.
Thank you. You're the expert on the area. How far are you from Kansas City?
3 hours or so.
Missouri's big. I didn't know it was that big.
I'm still not all the way over. I'm 3 hours to St. Louis and 3 hours to Kansas City. But if I go straight up, it'd probably be more like 4.5 to get out.
And what city do you live in?
I live in Springfield, so I'm about an hour north of Arkansas. Missouri is bordered by 8 states.
I don't believe you.
It's tied with Tennessee for being the most. Let's see if I can do this. Nebraska, pretty sure. Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas.
Missouri is much lower than I thought. This is Missouri, right?
That is Missouri, yes.
I would have thought Missouri. What's the state above you?
Iowa.
That those would be no. I don't know what I would have thought, but Missouri is much lower than I thought, much more south than I think of.
So yes, I give them in order: Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. Those are just tiny little connections, but counts. And then Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas.
Have you driven over each one of those borders into the neighboring state?
I don't think we've gone directly into Tennessee before, but we've done the other ones. Oh no, we have. I think. Because we've gone into Memphis, but I think maybe we went through. I don't think we went through the Boot Heel. I think we went to Arkansas first.
You went to Memphis?
We've driven through Memphis.
Did you go to the Bass Pro Shop?
No, we have the world's biggest Bass Pro Shop, but no, I do want to go to the Pyramid. Yes.
I haven't been there, but it's on my bucket list. Are you like me of the belief that once you've achieved everything on your bucket list, you will die? So you have to always keep some stuff on there?
I haven't thought of it that way, but sure.
Okay. Mike Celestino, in addition to seeing the creator, also had the opportunity to go to a Little Mermaid launch party. You think you have a nice job. Mike Celestino goes to parties for a
The
living.
Blu-ray launch party,
The
specifically.
Blu-ray. Thank you.
Not to be confused with the Disney Plus debut or the actual theatrical debut. This is an entirely different thing worth celebrating.
It's always so interesting launch parties for stuff. I mean, the weirdest one I've ever been to was the launch party for the Blu-ray release of Chevalier, which was not by any means a huge
Great
movie
point.
that I can't expect that they would, expect it to have that big of sales, but they had a launch party for it, and I was there. I took pictures just like this. So go check that out if you want to see how Disney launches a Blu-ray. Lots of costumes and stuff to be seen. They have real mermaids there. Where are they at? There they are. Real mermaids on display. No, they're real people. Real mermaids in attendance. So go check that out. Mike actually got a picture with them, but he held that picture for his personal Instagram instead of our article. That's all. Anything else, Kyle, happening this morning?
Let's find out together, shall we? Let me check our Twitter and
Which of the Pickwick triplets did it? Yes, Only Murders in the Building. You caught up on that one?
nope, way behind.
I am caught up. It is amazing how consistent that show has remained through these 3 seasons. It has not had a drop off at all, and that's having Martin Short on the cast too. So
There's a new Percy Jackson teaser.
Oh, let me hand that to me, please.
Yeah. Let me get you a better copy because I hate the way that they put it on Twitter video.
Let's see. We all know about the bear yesterday. I think that it ended by the time we finished our show. But the bear was caught. She was relocated, and no one was injured, including the bear, and all is good. Yay!
Sending it over to you now.
Getting some Percy Jackson. Okay, looks like. Okay. Oh, you want to intro Percy Jackson while I get this ready?
Yeah, so Percy Jackson, as we talked about yesterday, we had a new poster for it, and now we have a new trailer for the show coming this December, inspired by the Rick Riordan novels.
My name is Percy Jackson. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah, you could say that. Bad grades, bullies, all the normal stuff. And then there's some stuff that's maybe not so normal. There you are.
You saw something. Something that no one else could see. The stories that I have told you about Greek gods and half-bloods, they are real.
Mrs. Jackson, things have changed. This is all developing a lot faster than we anticipated.
Clover, why is there half a goat in your pants?
So the important thing is not to panic.
Percy Jackson. We've been expecting you. The Master Bolt has been stolen. That is your quest.
Remember what I taught you. You're gonna need to be brave now.
On DisneyPlus.Disney.com. Cool. Pretty exciting. I have high hopes for that one, both being good and remaining on Disney Plus for decades to come. All right, let's move on to. Dang it, I want some hotkeys. This one comes to us from our own Tony Betty just a few minutes ago.
It's time for Animaniacs, and we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax. You'll have till you collapse. We're Animaniacs. Dig my crib, baby.
That was Rob Paulson, who is the voice of Yakko from Animaniacs, which I don't watch, but Kyle does.
I don't, but I know where that is. That's in Burbank, California.
That's pretty fun. Thanks, Tony, for that one. And I love the best thing about social media is feeling a connection with famous people, being able to speak to you directly. The worst part is everything else. Kyle just sent me a cool link.
Yeah, there's a new video game inspired by the hit Australian animated series Bluey coming soon. That's all I really know, but I know people love Bluey. And so anytime there's any Bluey news, we're going to bring it to you.
Let's check right now on Disney Plus. I'm going to share this tab. And let's get down to trending. And look what's trending. Elemental is number 1. And number 2 is Bluey.
Always.
Oh, my Little Mermaid, Ahsoka, Spidey, Amazing Friends, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, The Simpsons, Moana, Doug, Dave, and Carl State.
I watched that as well. I watched before I watched Elemental, I watched Carl State just to get the full theatrical experience.
Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. What is that? It's The Incredibles. I've never heard of it.
It's a French animated series that airs here on. They eventually brought it to like Disney Channel, and then it's on here. But I'm pretty sure there's a new movie that's on Netflix because it's not like Disney acquired the entire property, so it's kind of like all over the place. But I guess it's popular.
It is trending on Disney Plus around number like 15 or so. Encanto, Nightmare Before Christmas, Jessie, Frozen. We talk about Disney talks about investment in Disney Plus and scaling it back and stuff. And just look at their trending titles, and there's a lot of new stuff, but there's a lot of library stuff on here.
Puppy Dog Pals.
They could skate for a long time just putting out their library stuff. And yes, you get to see what I watch. Last thing I watched was Slumber Party. Hamilton's always up there as I watch a song or two. Steamboat Silly was great. If you haven't seen Steamboat Silly, go watch Steamboat Silly.
I need to watch Steamboat Silly. Dancing with the Stars is still supposed to premiere on time, but it'll probably get pushed back because I didn't know this, but apparently they normally have one WGA writer, and so they will be not in compliance if they proceed without them.
Wait, so time out, expound. There's one WGA writer that works on Dancing with the Stars, therefore yes. The show should not be in production?
Yes, because you
can't just replace that writer
or line because you're supposed to have the.
But then just do it without that writer.
Well, that's what they're hoping to do. But you saw how that worked out for Drew Barrymore and her 2 or 3 writers.
Saying there is the possibility that Dancing with the Stars will not be the.
Currently, they're saying that they're proceeding as normal, but if it becomes a hairy situation for the talent associated with the show, then I imagine that they would concede and push it. But the good news is that the WGA is supposed to be meeting with the Producers Guild or whatever AMT people. I forget the studios soon. So hopefully that'll be fruitful.
And then UAW can become the only strike in town. And Tony's a little sad that Waking Sleeping Beauty is still not trending. Go watch this. Waking Sleeping Beauty is amazing.
I thought he was good. I thought you were going to say still not removed.
That too. Yeah, go watch. If you've never seen Waking Sleeping Beauty, you're at all interested in the Walt Disney Company in any way almost. Go watch this. It's incredible. And despite this, it's not in black and white, is it? No,
it's not actually in black and white.
No, just that.
I mean, some photos are, but most of it is not.
All right, let's do This Day in Disney History. And then I see Ben down there. Maybe we can bring him on just to kind of recast our top story with his business mind. Not a good word to have used there. On this day in 1948, an actor was born. Not necessarily thought of as a Disney actor, but he has an iconic Disney theme park role and an iconic Disney movie role, and the two are unrelated. He just did a narration for an Epcot attraction.
So Cronkite?
Oh, very close.
Okay.
You have the right attraction.
Oh, okay. So then it's Irons.
Jeremy Irons, that is right. Who also did very good. On this day in 1964, an actress was born. The only actress on my laminated card.
It's not Isabella Rossellini. So then you swapped it out for
It's not Scarlett
Winona
Johansson.
Ryder, local.
She was a child actress for Disney. Probably the most well-known child actress for Disney in the 60s, I would say.
Haley Mills.
Okay, maybe the second most. Maybe no, it's not 60s, 70s, not
Okay.
60s. She's a 70s actress. Her and her on-screen brother starred in 2 movies.
I'm not gonna know.
Oh my goodness. Witch Mountain? Kim Richards?
Wait, which mountain?
Kim Richards and Ike? This doesn't ring a
I've
bell.
heard the name. Sorry.
Paris is today the Paris studio tour this day in Disney history? Sorry. I just got a bug in my ear telling me no. So I'm not sure what that's referencing. So I will move on. On this day in 2000, a direct-to-video sequel opened.
A direct-to-video sequel.
It was released.
Yeah.
In 2000, unless I'm wrong.
No, you're
I
probably
have
not
been before.
wrong. I'm not good at knowing what came out when. Cinderella.
It starred the daughter of the original character.
Okay, so is that Mermaid something?
It is Mermaid, Little Mermaid.
That was the second one I said, actually.
Return to the Sea. Oh, okay. Jeremy Irons was also the Paris studio tour. Thank you very much, Anonymous.
Yeah.
All right.
That sucked.
I'm going to ask Benji if he wouldn't mind coming on, and we can kind of talk about what the investors talked about this morning. Hello, Benjamin Breitbart.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad I woke up early.
Oh,
$60
billion
bucket list yesterday, and so he wanted to make sure.
Never finish your bucket list. That's the problem with. Anyway, go on. $60 billion. What did we learn?
So I was watching Goosebumps screeners last night, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good. I want to keep watching them." And then I was like, "No, I should go to bed so I can wake up at 6, wake up at 5:30 to be up at 6." And then next thing you know, CNBC alert, and then I found the 8K where they talked about the investment. So doubling the investment in Disney parks and cruises. Notably, no new sites or cities. So no new countries or cities. So these are all just existing parks. They may build new ports for cruise ships, but no new like theme parks, no like India Disney or Brazil Disney or anything like that. So we had heard that previously they were planning on building $17 billion. It sounds like they still hope to build $17 billion in Florida. We know that Disneyland Forward is things like, Disneyland Forward, where we don't know exactly what that's going to be, but we have a briefing, or I should say a public workshop in a couple weeks. Now I think noticeably, I think as Disney fans were excited, doubling the investment, which was not a low number to begin with. I mean, I remember when the idea was $1 billion a year, and we're well over that now. So $30 billion over 10 years, you do the math, $60 billion over 10 years. So, but the Wall Street's not loving the news, at least in terms of stock price, down 3.5%. So I don't know. I mean, it's $6 billion is a lot of money a year. I mean, obviously it doesn't necessarily need to be linear, but now this includes international parks. We don't know exactly how it breaks down. But Josh Tomorrow told me recently that they're ready to put the foot on the accelerator pedal, and it sounds like they want to. Whether the investor reaction to this changes that, I don't know. Also, the investor conference is, as far as I can tell, still going on as we speak. So we may get more color after that concludes about what this actually looks like.
And this investor conference isn't being streamed or anything, so just reports coming out of it.
No, that's why they did the filing, so they could basically share the PowerPoint and not have to stream it. Otherwise, they would have to stream it because of SEC regulations. So it's a way to kind of get around that. They did also on the Walt Disney Company blog, or whatever they call it now, did kind of go through what they're talking about. Of the three sort of tenets is stories, scale, and fans. Basically, they talk about their IP and how they plan on investing in IP that has proven successful with them, with things like Cars Land at California Adventure, or Galaxy's Edge, or Avengers Campus, so on and so forth. Scale, they talk about the size of their parks, and they say they basically have 1,000 acres for possible expansion already owned across its existing sites, which is the equivalent of 7 Disneyland parks. So
one Magic Kingdom parking lot.
So if you think this is probably the equivalent of 1 in California, 2 to 3 in Florida, 1 in Paris, 1 in Shanghai. I don't know where that leaves me. Maybe 1 in Hong Kong, depending on how that deal works out. And then fans talking about, they basically say that there's 700 million people who are able to go to a Disney park, like they're close enough to a Disney park, but that there's 700 people who identify as Disney fans, but only 100 million visit each year. So their thought is if they can get more of those Disney fans to visit more frequently, that would be good. We've talked about how previously during the COVID bump, their parks were overcrowded. So the way you could justify the expansion is by just growing, adding more parks. Now the parks are not as well attended. So now you also have to justify adding the capacity that there's a demand there. So, we'll see how this all plays out. As I said, Wall Street does seem skeptical. But, Rich Greenfield got his picture with Chippendale. So, we'll see what actually comes out of it once they leave the meeting and talk to them.
So, a few years ago, the big push with Disney Plus, they talked about how much money they were putting into Disney Plus, and that seemed like, the tent pole for this company. Is this kind of the equivalent of that for the next few years?
Bob Iger recently said it's 3 things: studios, parks, and streaming. I think what this is a recalibration of where the money's going. I would be guilty of this assumption too, that parks were kind of the cash generator that was funding the Disney Plus initiative. And now that they're pulling back what they're spending on Disney Plus, I think they still expect that business to grow. It has to grow because it's not profitable right now. It needs to become more profitable. But it's going to grow through things like, not through investment, but more through just price increases and things like that. But I think this is really where you're going to see them investing their capital. It's not necessarily where they think all of their growth is coming from, but definitely where they're going to be spending their money. The other growth is going to come through things like studios. It's not that they're going to be spending more money on movies, but they expect the movies they make to be better, which means they'll be more successful.
So then presumably Josh D'Amaro is the next CEO of the Walt Disney Company, right?
Well, who knows? But I think this is obviously him making his case that, hey, I can oversee a big capital project successfully. The only challenge is that these, unlike a movie, these things take a lot longer to build. So we don't necessarily know when we'll see the fruit of these labors. As we've talked about ad nauseum, domestically, the only shovel to dirt projects is Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is, not even an expansion, it's just a redo. So I don't want to belittle the attraction, but it's not a major capital expenditure. And they talk obviously about Animal Kingdom expansion, what's beyond Big Thunder and all that, and Disneyland Forward in particular. But until those actually start moving, those are not projects that are going to pull up in 16 weeks. Those aren't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Play It. They're not going to move the needle and say, I can decide to go see a movie tomorrow, based on a good commercial. You don't suddenly go like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Disney World tomorrow. I mean, maybe we do, but most people don't. So I don't know. I don't know when we'll see the results and if we'll see those results soon enough. I will say it does help Josh in terms that whoever the next CEO is, if he's successfully running the business, even if it's not Josh, if it's somebody else, it would help solidify, his.
Ask you a question after you're done with it.
Yeah, with his, give him his, what do you call it, street cred, so that he's still running the business. Because we've seen many times a new CEO comes in and then someone else is running. Everyone leaves and then they have to get new people, which I don't think is what Josh would want. I don't know that Josh is the kind of guy who is, if he's not picked to be the next CEO of Walt Disney Company, he's going to leave. But who knows?
On that one slide, the turbocharging Disney parks experience and products, they had 5 different bullets basically. What do you make of accelerate storytelling?
I think that is the way I interpreted it is expanding the speed in which they are developing IP-based attractions. So, for example, I think even things like what you've seen with Avengers Campus, where they're constantly refreshing it with new characters. That might be a micro version of it, but even talking about maybe doing more refreshes in the IP-based world by kind of moving that forward faster. One thing I thought was interesting is, and I'm throwing a curveball here, but they have a whole slide on international parks around Duffy.
Yeah, we did look at that.
And
$500 million.
It's interesting to me, if you knowing that Duffy is a priority for him, they're bringing him into Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. They're creating a Disney Plus series. I don't know what that means domestically, but internationally, they see this as an IP generator. For those folks that are always talking about, Disney doesn't embrace their own IP. Duffy seems to be one exception to that rule, and bringing Duffy into the other media, so that kind of, it's the one thing that kind of backwashed into the streaming world or the media entertainment world. But we have to be honest. Today they announced a special Florida weekday ticket. They've announced a new offer for early 2024. There is definitely discounting happening, and
Right. So
part of the business justification for this is reducing discounting.
Hampton says, used to be at Disneyland frequently until the cost became too high. I'm sure we're not going to see prices decrease, but discounts is what Disney does to affect getting people out, even when the ticket prices are too high and people aren't coming. They just do some discounting, but they're hoping with these kind of investments that people will come and the discounting will decrease.
Well, and I think also too, Disney had grown their business previously by increasing ticket prices ahead of inflation or ahead of their cost inflation. Now you're seeing them by wanting to increase results by just getting more guests in some park. So the parks may be more crowded, but there would hopefully be more things to do. And hopefully the prices, they're not going to come down, and they're probably not going to come down relative to what you make, in terms of inflation. But I don't think you're going to see that big sort of constant double, tripling of prices that seems to have happened over the past decade. Sort of the Michael Eisner plan, where tickets went from $12 to $100.
Just to give a little more info on that, Disney Weekday Magic ticket is for Florida residents only. Tickets are good Monday through Friday, October 2nd through December 22nd. You can purchase them now, and it gets as low as $59 a day for a 4-day ticket, which is mind-bogglingly low. When we joke about the $43 ticket. Obviously, this is a 4-day ticket. It's only during the weekends, but still, $59. That's a pretty economical way to go to Walt Disney World. So check that out if you're a Florida resident and you have some weekday flexibility.
And I think too, the one thing that's been what silver lining to the soft attendance is, I think it shows that there needs to be new product out in the park. There needs to be new rides, shows, and experiences in order to drive gate. And I think that is an important correlation. If they kept the park the same as it was and, just built attractions when they felt like it and it didn't move the needle, then there wouldn't be a business case to build new attractions. So I think in a way, soft attendance is kind of what Disney fans should be rooting for until, they really get their motor going. It's interesting to me that this Disney 100 celebration starting at Epcot on Friday, and it ended up being just like a Spaceship Earth late show and some new food.
Yeah.
And the return of Soarin' Over California, the film.
Yeah. So,
or like I like to say the debut of Soarin' Over California at Epcot because it was never called that before.
That is correct. Kind of.
It's both correct and incorrect at the same time.
Yeah, there was one place where it said Soarin' Over California.
Wait, what? It was not Soarin' Over California at DCA?
No, at Epcot, it was just called Soarin'.
Even when did they show California at Epcot before?
Yes.
And they still just call it Soarin'?
Yes. Have you been to Walt Disney World?
I'm sorry. I forgot that it started as Soarin' at Epcot. I'm thinking it's always been around the world.
You remember
my friend yesterday did the exact same thing. He's like, didn't it open with World? I'm like, no, it opened in like 2005.
All right. I'm with you now. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, although I'm guessing they're still calling it Soarin', I don't think they're going to be, changing any signage.
I hope they hang a little sign.
If
on the wait times thing, it's going to say California. That's good enough for me.
If they change the signage, that would take care of $6 billion for this year.
Yeah, it's I wonder how much of this money is going to like IT and
Not
enough. Whatever it is, double it.
If they're spending $60 billion, we will have the next iteration of My Magic Plus / whatever. The next one is Next Gen 3 is in the works, assuredly, and that will take up the bulk of this budget.
Well, speaking of that, there's a slide there, which I don't have handy, but talking about how the increase in revenue, how much of it is just pricing strategy and how much of it is experience development or something to that effect. And so you're seeing Genie Plus, individual Lightning Lane, domestically, and Premier Access and all those other terms depending on what park you're at.
This isn't it, right?
No, it's probably before that. But you can see how that is actually impacting things. I mean, the purist in you just wants to get rid of all that stuff, but they're relying on that to really to really make a difference. It is slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is this it? I've got one on the screen.
Yes, that's it. So you can see, fiscal. So you have fiscal 19, which is obviously the benchmark because of COVID. So you have pricing strategies, which is just a little bit, changing how they price hotel rooms and stuff. But then you have this other bit, which is other commercial strategies, which includes things like Genie Plus, individual Lightning Lane, growth through other means that aren't just increasing pricing. So, merchandise improvement, food and beverage, upscaling, things like that. So
downscaling.
Well, true. So, I think it's also interesting to me that when Christy McCarthy left, and I wonder if this sort of desire to invest in parks played a role in that, because then they replaced her with Kevin Lansbury, who is the CFO of Disney Parks, which on the surface seemed odd because Disney Entertainment was where the struggles were with, balancing out how much they were investing in everything. But it seems like, in hindsight to make sense because they were trying to build this case to the investment community and presumably the board that they wanted to spend $60 billion on what other people have perceived as a mature business.
Wrong before. We are just 5 minutes away from top of the hour.
Can I give a this is not related, but can I give a weird shout out to something that is a lot better than I thought it was going to be, according to Alex.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid is out on home video today, and he says the bonus features are a lot better than he initially anticipated, including like a 30-minute making of, but the interesting thing is that Impossible Child song that is sung by Javier Bardem, which is a bonus feature on Disney Plus, is not included. But they are talking about, he did say that it was a really impressive home video release.
Mike Celestino was at that release party yesterday. We've got an article for that up on our site. Where was that? Was that in Hollywood?
Oh, Southern California somewhere. Oh, is that the California Science Center?
What?
Is that the California Science Center?
Okay. There's a lot of science in this movie. Well, look at that party. Wow.
Bubble guns.
When they say advanced, so advanced commercial was one of the pillars, along with the advanced IP and all that. Advanced commercial is stuff like Genie Plus and stuff like that.
I mean, that's part of it. Things like, it's any sort of things that get you to anything where they're selling you more than they were selling you before, right? So it's not necessarily pricing in terms of just increasing the cost of what things already cost.
Magic shots, PhotoPass magic shots.
Exactly. Yeah, all that. Even Magic Key sort of changes, not necessarily the price of them, but the moving guests away from Magic Key to buying tickets, things like that.
What else is going on in the world of Disney that's on your mind for about 3 minutes, Ben, until we might go get to the top of the hour now?
You guys probably already talked about it, but the Percy Jackson trailer?
Yeah, we looked at that.
Can you just sense Bill's excitement through like the internet?
Yes, always.
Bill's a writer here at LP and our biggest Percy Jackson champion.
In fact, I think he has a new Rick Riordan Presents label book review that'll go up today. There's so many of those. Like every few weeks, there's a different. They're not actually written by Rick, obviously. That's why the Presents is. But yeah, his kind of YA imprint is very active.
I was at Borders, Barnes and Noble the other day, and they're all over the place with those books.
Yeah.
So it was good to see.
Do you think it's the best move for Disney? The way the state of the company now that this is the Disney Plus series and not perhaps their next tentpole series of films?
They made a Percy Jackson film already that was sort of derided by fans and the author. I think books tend to do better as series anyway, especially because especially for fans, they want that detail that you can't surmise a book into a 2-hour movie, and I think it may get lost in the theaters. I feel like as a series, it has a potential, especially a series that's being released in December when people are home and looking for something to watch, particularly this year where there might not be as much to watch. I think it ended up being an okay choice. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. It could fall flat, but honestly, Disney needs to show that they can make a TV series, a Disney branded television series that has some sort of success.
So this should be on the success level of the Star Wars and Marvel series.
No, but it's not costing as much, so that's okay. But I think something where basically it's renewed for season 2 and not just because they feel they need to.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. Anything coming up, Kyle?
Not that I've seen. Although we do have another question. Yesterday we talked about how their ABC is bringing Monday Night Football the rest of the season. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe there's a curse because the last few times that Monday Night Football has been on, we have like Damar Hamlin, Aaron Rodgers, and Nick Chubb. So maybe we should stop this.
But they've been good besides Damar Hamlin.
Besides the career-ending injuries, they've been good games.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily. It's not really, there's always injuries in football, right?
I know. It's just that 3 of the most high profile have been during Monday Night Football games in the past half a season, not even half a season.
Those games were good last night, though.
What was the deal last night? They were on at the same time.
Yeah, and next week they're going to swap it where the ABC game starts first and the ESPN game will start second.
Why are they do? What's the deal with why? What's the point?
I think they're trying. It seems to be more successful for them than doing it sort of the back to back. I think that was getting a little too late for folks, or too early, depending on where you're at.
It's just weird because you have to choose a game. You can't watch both, and it's annoying. The primetime football is supposed to be the game. The whole world is focused on a game.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. That was their justification, and they're testing it, right? So they're trying to see which strategy works best. They may go back to the sort of double header, but it's only 3 weeks out of the year that they have, an ABC game and an ESPN game. So it's not.
How many primetime Jets games were scheduled for this season that are going to get flexed out?
Probably a fair bunch.
I have to finally pay some attention to the Cowboys.
Yay, America's team's back, baby, 2-0.
Yeah. We knew that the Browns were going to lose, right? Because it's against natural law for them to be 2-0.
They've got their superstar quarterback now that they paid $1 million. It's supposed to be like a lot of money. $1 billion guaranteed dollars for. They're supposed to be good now. I am now checking out the Week 3 power rankings on ESPN.com, and I am upset to say Cowboys are not number 1. They are number 2. For some reason, the 49ers are number 1, and I am angry. There you go.
I did, just a heads up, we do expect more Parks news today. At least that's what they told us. We'll see if it actually happens. Sometimes they tell us that.
There is a note on the post that they did on WaltDisneyCompany.com that says this will be updated when the Convestor thing ends. I'm like, oh, will it? Okay. Tell me when.
So we may be back.
Oh. Yeah, I won't.
Oh, not okay. Someone will. You got big plans, Kyle?
Bears and everything. I don't have big plans. I just have work.
Work. Yeah. That magical thing I like to call work.
Good news, Gio. You're ahead of the Cardinals and the Texans, so life could be worse. Not much worse.
Wait, the Texans are below the Cardinals?
Oh yeah, number 31.
All right. Well, that's weird.
No. The Texans are above the Cardinals. Cardinals are 32.
Okay, good.
And you know who the Cowboys
I think the Cardinals would be angry if it weren't number 32.
And the Cowboys play the Cardinals next week. The point spread on that should be off the board. It's going to be messy. Going to be nasty. All right, that's it. We're talking football. That means we're done. We'll be back 4 p.m. Pacific, Barely Necessity, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Disney Trivia Live with myself and Gideon, and News If It Breaks with Kyle and Benji. Until then, see ya.